Fortnite's Discover page recently underwent a huge change. However, was it worth it? Today I'm going to be talking about why I think some of the new categories added might not be great additions to this game, and why some are good. Before we get started today, I do have to remind you, if you do enjoy this content, to subscribe. I know I've just begun uploading again, I've been gone a very long time, but I am going to be coming out with consistent creative videos, so if you're into that kind of thing, thank you. Now the first thing we need to talk about is the categories they added and the order they decided to put them in. There are essentially two kinds of categories. Categories that are run by an algorithm, where Epic does not pick the maps to go into that category, and categories where Epic hand picks what they want. For example, an algorithm category would be popular or trending, whereas a hand-picked one would be Epic's picks, obviously. With that out of the way, order definitely matters. When you first load into the Discover page, you're first going to be greeted by recently played. This is a good thing. I think this is good. I like the idea of being able to go back to maps you played earlier that you might not have favorited, so you can see what you've been doing. And then under this, we have by Epic, which again is good. BR should be at the absolute top of this. Because they decided to merge where you play Save the World, BR, and Creative, BR needs to be at the top of this, so it's not hard to find. When they first rolled out Discovery, it was impossible to find BR for a week or two. Here's where the issues begin. Directly under that is Created in Fortnite. Now, if you don't know what this category is, this is basically a series they've done on their YouTube where they upload map trailers for maps they like. I don't know how you get on there. There's no way to apply for it as a map builder, so I'm not sure. So what that means is these are absolutely Epic picked maps. However, the problem is they're not that great. Absolutely no shit or shade to the people that are in this category, but they're very basic creative maps. Especially when you look at the front and you see Tilted Zone Wars next to a color switch map, which also happens to be next to a very simple 1v1. And while these are all classic maps that were created quite a while ago, they don't hold up as well today as they may have used to. However, this category also has some good maps, like City of Steel, which may only be an open world exploration and doesn't have a lot of gameplay to it, but it's an amazing build. But then right next to that, you have High School Roleplay.
Dude! What the fuck?
This is the problem with this category. However, I will say that I think it is a good thing they're taking maps from their YouTube series and putting them in a tab. I think that's a cool idea. However, the problem comes with the fact that these maps that they're featuring on their YouTube are not my first picks for great maps. They're not bad by any means, they're just not the best. And I mean no hate to anyone on this category. Some of them are just not the greatest thing I've ever seen. My other problem with this is that this is the very first thing we see after Made by Epic. This should not be this high up. I understand having this near the top somewhere, but not this high. This is the very first full creative category. And then under that, this was added more recently, is top 12 on your platform. This is again a cool concept on the surface where you get the top 12, I don't know why it's 12 instead of 10, but the top 12 maps and how they're performing on your specific platform. This category, however, is filled with exactly what you would think it would be. They're basically all of the all-time classics in terms of combat maps. And when I say classics, I don't mean they're great. I mean they're like really popular old maps. For example, we have Go Goated, The Pit, Tilted, and BHE as the first four, which is exactly what I would expect going into this category. And the rest of them are no better. They're all basic combat maps, which is a problem. Again, cool concept. Problem is they're all combat and they're all pretty basic. Now, on to the 3rd through 5th categories. I'm going to put these together. This is the popular section. Now, they have one for each major category: variety, practice, and combat, which is fine for the most part, except for one thing. These categories tend to cycle the same couple of maps over and over again. We just had a category about the most popular maps, and now we have 3 more about the most popular maps. If we read the top couple maps in practice, we're again greeted with Go Goated, The Pit, and Tilted Zone Wars as the top 3. So again, popular is a cool concept. The problem is we end up getting a huge overlap when we have multiple popular categories. So for example, maps like The Pit or Tilted Zone Wars end up getting featured multiple times, only increasing the monopoly that those maps have on that category. Because I'm willing to bet Go Goated, The Pit, and Tilted Zone Wars have a good chunk of the creative player base at any given time in their maps. Next we have Fortnite Competitive. Now, my question here is, why is this so low? If this is, again, we already had a By Epic tab, so why is competitive in its own thing below a bunch of categories? It's hard to find. This should be right under Made by Epic or in Made by Epic, nowhere else. Below that we have Epic's Picks. Now Epic's Picks used to be at the absolute top of the Discover page, even before By Epic sometimes. This is the problem with this category now. It's moved down. too far down. As a creative builder, pretty much the biggest thing you can get to without actually being sanctioned by Epic to build something is to get into Epic's picks. The only problem is the biggest thing you can get in creative, quote unquote in my opinion, is halfway down the discover page now, which makes it so much less appealing as a thing you can earn, you know? Especially when the process to get selective for Epic's picks takes so damn long. Okay, moving on to some more new categories below it, we have fan favorites and hidden gems. Now, I have absolutely no idea how maps are filtered into fan favorites and hidden gems. There's nothing on their website about this. There's no information on how these tabs work, so I have no idea. However, there's definitely something wrong with these categories. The concept is cool. I'd love the concept of fan favorites and hidden gems, but Epic needs to be hand-picking these, because I know damn well the Pit Fun World is not a fan favorite. It's just not. Maybe the Pit, but a Pit ripoff? No. The very first map in this category is Ultimate Desert 1v1 Build Fights. That is not a fan favorite, it's just not. And then hidden gems below it is for some reason mostly death runs. I'm not sure why. The first few maps are just Aqua Death Run, Levels Farmer Death Run, 350 level Death Run, and 500 level Parkour. Very basic maps, I'm assuming. Next to Octanes vs Zombies and Mayo 1v1 Build Fight. These are not really hidden gems, and that's where this problem comes into play. I think these categories are both also algorithm controlled. I don't know how that algorithm works, but the algorithm is putting things in here that aren't really things that people would see as a hidden gem. And then the category under that is up and coming. This one might be even more flawed than the ones above it. The very first map is Ronaldo vs Messi, which is a terms of service breach because neither of them are in the map, obviously. Next is Ship. When you might be wondering, why is it just called Ship? This was actually for the Witcher challenges in creative a couple weeks ago. And this map is certainly not up and coming because it was the front of featured and still is at the very, very top. Also, how in the world is Ohio Free For All an up and coming map? That is just a pile of trash cans. Again, cool category concepts, but they're decided by algorithms. At least I'm pretty sure. There's no way these are handpicked. So if these are decided by algorithms, there's a problem. They need to be handpicked for quality assurance. Under that, we have Battle Royale remixes, which is good, but again, I ask, why is this so low? No one is going to see them at this point. Now, under this, we have new favorites. Now, this category seems to actually have some decent maps in it. That doesn't mean they're new, however. I'm looking this, and right away, I see Raiders aim training map. I'm sure people like that, because aim training is huge in a game like this, but I have seen this map circulating for months. There's no way that is new. There is also a map in here called the Travis Scott concert. Why? Why? Again, a category that needs to be handpicked because these are not favorites. Underneath that, we have trending, which is an inherently flawed category because it's on an algorithm system, obviously. Right away, you have Ronaldo versus Messi, like I already mentioned, Ohio Zone Wars with a really weird clickbait thumbnail, Ship, toy cars, a couple normal ones, and then multiple mega ramp maps right next to each other with really clickbaity thumbnails with absolutely nothing that has to do with Fortnite either. Some of these maps are just like YouTube thumbnails. Also, this is so unnecessary as a category. We have popular already. We don't need trending. Stop. Under this is great with friends. Now this is a good category. This is good. This is a cool idea. These maps are not great with friends. Are they all multiplayer? Sure, they're all multiplayer. However, they're all combat. And when I say combat, I mean heavy combat. They're all zone wars or box fights for the most part. There's one hide and seek game. There's one fashion show, and that's it. Everything else is zone wars, realistic 1v1s, things like that. Those are not great maps to play with your friends. No. Maybe that's what you're into, but that is how you lose your friendships. Don't do this. Under this, we have the only categories you can actually get into, and I mean this completely seriously. Every other category seems to cycle the same 25 maps through. For example, both of my maps that are relatively popular will only go through new. Only rarely do they go anywhere else, and these are not maps with 0 plays. My point is, I'm not trying to brag, my point is that no matter how well your map may be doing, or how good your map may be, usually you're only ever going to get put in new variety, new practice, or new combat, unless you're an established builder or have worked with Epic before. That is not fair. I've recently been featured in both New Variety and New Combat, and the problem with putting these categories this far down is that absolutely no one wants to scroll down this far. So no matter how much effort you've been putting into a map, if it gets put down here, it's only going to get 400 to 500 plays for the time it's in here. They cycle out very quickly. Whereas getting put in the new categories before this update, you'd get 4,000 to 5,000 before it cycled out. That was much better. That was enough to calibrate your XP. It was perfect. Now under those, we have favorites. Favorites does not need to be on the front page. That is an individual account thing. It does not need to be a category on here. It just clutters things up. Now we're at the very bottom. Everything under that is completely game mode based things. And what I mean by that is our categories are zombies, gun game, party games, driving, zone wars. Things like that. Specific, very niche kinds of maps. And at this point, no one's scrolling this far. They don't need to exist. If they're going to be this far down, take them out. There's too many categories. So, in a full synopsis, basically, of everything, there are too many categories. Too many of them are ran on algorithms. And the main problem with creative is that these same maps are getting cycled over and over again. For example, Tilted Zone Wars is featured at least 3 times on this Discover page. That is a problem. I'm at the top right now, and Tilted Zone Wars is created in Fortnite, top 12 on your platform, and popular practice, and those are some of the top 5 categories right on the top. And while this might seem like a good thing, oh, Tilted Zone Wars, it's fun, it's fine, it's fun. And no, that's a problem, because people making newer maps, or smaller creators making maps, don't have a chance to shine at all, period. When you make a new map nowadays, your only chance of getting featured right away is getting put in new. Now the problem with new, like I said, is you don't get plays. You don't get nearly as many plays as you used to. So now it's harder to get a map to get any sort of player base when all you get is new. Main issue, like I just said, is the only way to get out of new is to have a clickbaity thumbnail, because that gets you into other categories, because your map does better with a clickbaity thumbnail. So you wonder why people are making such horrible thumbnails. That's why. They have to. And I'll leave it with that. Fortnite Creative is in a really weird state right now, and Epic needs to figure out their Discover page. They're trying to improve it, but in the process are making it even harder as a map creator to get maps featured. This is not a good change. Overall, bad. However, there are a few small good categories and overall good things in this little update. What do you think of this? Make sure to leave a map code down in the comments if you want me to review it. I'm going to be doing a video on it in a few days, and thank you for watching.